You know that feeling when you finally buy your first home after years of renting shoebox apartments? That was me, Chloe Bennett, moving into 42 Maplewood Drive with exactly $127 left in my bank account and a dream of hanging Christmas lights without a landlord's permission. What greeted me wasn't just a welcome to the neighborhood basket. It was a 3-inch binder titled Maplewood Meadows HOA Seasonal Expression Guidelines, delivered by our HOA president, Karen Davenport. Karen looked like Christmas itself had been sent to military school. Perfect blonde bob, red blazer that screamed, "I coordinate my aggression," and a smile that never reached her eyes. "We do tasteful here," she said, tapping the binder. Appendix F. 12 is particularly important. It regulates holiday cheer. Appendix F12. 23 pages of insanity. It specified everything from maximum lumens per square foot to approved shades of red. See Pantone 18 to 1663 TCX. Festive Berry, not 19 to 1557 TCX. Tacky Rudolph knows. There were rules about flicker rates. Not exceeding 2.5 hertz to prevent epileptic concerns. Snowman proportions, head-to-body ratio must not exceed 1 minute, and 1.5 seconds for structural integrity, and even regulated how joyful decorations could appear. Section G, for actually had a joyfulness maximum chart. My first violation came 3 days later. I'd hung a simple $12.99 Trader Joe's wreath with a red bow. Woke up to a violation notice taped to my door. Unauthorized foliage display. Natural pine violates allergen-conscious community standards. Fine, $75. I marched to Karen's house, notice in hand. Her home looked like Christmas had thrown up and then been organized by a psychopath. Everything symmetrical, color-coordinated, clinically festive. Not a single ornament out of place. "Karen, this is ridiculous. It's a wreath." "Community wellness is holistic, Chloe," she said, not even looking up from her clipboard. "Mrs. Henderson's schnauzer, Mr. Piddles, has seasonal affective disorder. Natural allergens could trigger him. You find me over a dog's mental health? Prevention is key. If you'd like to appeal, you'll need Form 7B with 3 professional references who can attest to your aesthetic judgment." That's when I discovered I wasn't alone. Mr. Henderson, the sweet 80-year-old across the street, had been forced to take down his plastic Santa because it was culturally appropriating seasonal mythological figures from non-Christian traditions. Priya, the young mom next door, had her deal lamps for Diwali flagged as open flame hazards, while Karen's 10,000 electric candles were somehow fine. Carlos, the college student renting the basement apartment, got cited for his Happy Holidays sign for excessive inclusivity, diluting Christmas brand identity. We started meeting in my living room, a secret club of the aesthetically persecuted. That's when Priya made the discovery that changed everything. Karen's husband, Richard Davenport, she said, showing us her laptop. He owns Holiday Harmony Home Services. They install HOA-approved Christmas lights starting at $2,500. It was a racket. Karen would declare decorations non-compliant, then offer her husband's company as a HOA-recommended solution. December 1st brought the nuclear option, a community-wide email from Karen. Urgent. Holiday decoration standards enforcement. All displays had to be submitted for approval by December 5th. Unapproved displays would be removed at owner's expense. Non-compliance could result in liens against property. Liens over Christmas lights. December 5th, Karen conducted what we called the December Massacre. She walked the neighborhood with 2 bored-looking teenagers she'd hired as compliance officers, measuring tapes and clipboards in hand. Mr. Henderson's candy cane stripes were 2 wide by 0.2 inches. Fine, $100. The Johnson Snowman's carrot nose was not OSHA-compliant orange. Fine, $150. The Rodriguez family received citation for excessive cheer detected. My inspection was personal. Karen spent 20 minutes examining my display. The spacing between your icicle lights is inconsistent. Some are 4.2 inches apart, others 4.3. It creates visual chaos. They're icicles. Nature isn't consistent. Precisely why we regulate. And this inflatable snowman, She pointed with her pen. Its smile exceeds a joyfulness maximum in section G4. It's aggressively merry. Total fine, $875. And her grandpa Joe, my grandfather, 78 years old, retired lawyer, arrived for Christmas with twinkling eyes and a wheezing laugh that filled my house. He read through my violation notices, his laughter growing until tears streamed down his face. "Sweetheart," he gasped, wiping his eyes, "you're being out-Karened by a professional. Let Grandpa show you how we handle bullies before the internet." He asked for the HOA's original CC and RS, the covenants, conditions, and restrictions from 1978. He spent an evening with them, magnifying glass in hand, while Christmas cookies went uneaten. "Aha!" he said finally, tapping a paragraph. 14.2c. Seasonal decorations shall not be prohibited, provided they do not create safety hazards. There's your loophole. She can't ban decorations outright, only regulate safety. But she's making up safety rules. Exactly. Which means we need to prove her rules aren't about safety. They're about aesthetic gatekeeping. Then Grandpa Joe smiled, the kind of smile that made me simultaneously excited and terrified. We're going to give her exactly what she wants. Perfection. Thus began Operation Perfect Christmas. The neighborhood banded together. We pooled money. Not for Karen's husband's company, but for Clark Griswold's Extreme Holiday Lighting, a company run by a man named Dave who looked like Santa's more rebellious brother. We're not just meeting her standards, Grandpa Joe explained to Dave. We're weaponizing them. What follows the most beautiful, petty, glorious holiday transformation Maplewood Meadows had ever seen. We followed Appendix F, 12 to the letter, no to the spirit. We became more Karen than Karen. We used laser measuring tools to ensure every light was exactly 4 inches apart. We took Pantone swatches to Home Depot to match Festive Berry. Exactly. We programmed lights to flicker at precisely 2.5 hertz. We built snowmen with mathematically perfect 1 minute and 1.5 seconds head-to-body ratios. My house became the crown jewel. Dave and his team created a display, so compliant it looked like a Christmas museum exhibit. Every bulb aligned, every color coordinated, every flicker regulation perfect. Then came the masterstroke. Grandpa Joe discovered that Karen, in her zeal for control, had never actually filed the proper paperwork to make Appendix F, 12 legally binding. It was an administrative guideline she created herself and enforced as law. On December 20th, Karen conducted her final compliance check. She walked the neighborhood, clipboard in hand, clearly expecting to find violations. Instead, she found perfection. Her face fell as she measured and found nothing wrong. She arrived at my house last, measured, checked colors against her swatch book, used a light meter to measure lumens. Everything was perfect. I suppose this is adequate, she said, sounding almost disappointed. That's when Grandpa Joe stepped onto the porch, holding a thick legal folder. Karen Davenport, we need to talk about your unauthorized enforcement of non-binding guidelines. What followed was a beautiful public dismantling. Grandpa Joe explained in front of all my gathered neighbors that Appendix F 12 had never been properly voted on by the HOA board, that her fines were legally unenforceable, that her husband's business constituted a conflict of interest, and that her compliance officers were actually unlicensed teenagers she was paying under the table. But the real coup de grace came from Mr. Henderson. "You know," he said quietly, "my grandson works at the county clerk's office. He found something interesting. Your house, Karen? It's 6 inches over the property line into common area.
This is the critical point we need to address. I agree, but we should also consider the alternatives here.
Yes, and this data supports that
Christmas
approach.
decorations you're so proud of? Stolen design from a 1998 Martha Stewart living issue. Karen's face went from red to white. The clipboard slipped from her hands. The next HOA meeting looked like a Christmas movie climax. Every seat filled. Karen tried to defend herself, but one by one, neighbors stood up with their own stories. Priya showed invoices proving Karen had tried to pressure her into using holiday harmony. Carlos played a recording of Karen calling his Happy Holidays sign woke nonsense. Mr. Henderson presented property line surveys. The vote to remove Karen as HOA president was unanimous. The vote to dissolve the HOA's decoration committee entirely was also unanimous. But my favorite moment came Christmas morning. At exactly 6 a.m., as Karen was no doubt brewing her perfectly measured coffee, every house in Maplewood Meadows simultaneously turned on their lights. And not the perfect, regulated lights. The messy, joyful, chaotic lights we'd all been hiding in our garages. Blow-up Santas that wobbled in the breeze. Multicolored lights that clashed gloriously. Animated reindeer that looked vaguely drunk. And in my front yard, right where Karen could see it from her window, an inflatable snowman with the most aggressively merry smile imaginable, its joyfulness maximum absolutely shattered. We held a neighborhood party that day. Mr. Henderson's plastic Santa stood proudly on his roof. Priya's deal lamps glowed beside Christmas lights. Carlos's Happy Holidays sign hung next to a nativity scene. And Karen? She moved out in January. Rumor has it she found a gated community with even stricter rules. Last I heard, she's trying to regulate the shade of green on golf course grass. As for us, we kept the lights up until February. Because we could. Because no one could find us. Because sometimes the best Christmas miracle isn't snow or Santa. It's neighbors banding together to tell Karen exactly where she can stick her Pantone swatch book. And every December, when I hang my lights, now gloriously, beautifully imperfect, I think about Grandpa Joe's words at night we plan our revenge. The thing about people who love rules, he said, sipping his cocoa, is they never expect you to read the fine print. Merry Christmas, Karen. Wherever you are, I hope your lights are perfectly spaced. And I hope it drives you absolutely crazy knowing ours aren't.